Hello, everybody who has joined early. You are the early birds. Congratulations. We are going to be starting the webinar in a couple of minutes. Give some of the folks who are still trickling in time to settle and maybe get a cup of coffee and get ready. And then we'll kick it off. All right, y'all, just one more minute. We had a lot of registered attendees, so we want to make sure that we get everybody in before we start this thing. It's exciting, so yeah, want to make sure that we're giving them time to join. Cam, are you in the lab today? Oh, Cam, you might be on mute.
Yep, I'm in the lab. We're doing some testing and great to be on the webinar here.
Cam, follow-up question. Do you just live in the lab? Like, do you have like a cot there? You're
No,
always in there.
we're moving from a smaller lab to a larger lab.
Okay.
And so I'm coming in here a couple days a week, 2 days a week, and one day, 2 days a week. And, you know, it's great stuff.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, hey, let's go ahead and kick this thing off. My name is Jeff Gill. I'm the Channel Strategy Development Manager at Qcells. I work in channel marketing. I am joined here today by the Director of Residential ESS Product Management, Cam Sahota. Cam, say hello.
Good morning, good afternoon, and hello.
Awesome, awesome. So today we're going to be discussing Q.HOME Core, our residential ESS solution, and how it relates to NEM 3.0. If you have any questions, please send them into the chat. We want to save time at the end to answer all of your questions. Hopefully we'll have some time saved so that we can do that. So yeah, if you have anything that's on your mind, just go ahead and put it in the chat and we'll take it from there. So we can go ahead and go to the next slide. So we'd like to give you an idea first of who Qcells is and really showcase our commitment to the US market and our commitment to US manufacturing. Then we're going to get into a little bit about NEM 3.0, which I'm sure everybody in California, I'm sure we have a lot of California installers on this webinar about NEM 3.0. You probably know a lot about it. Not going to spend too much time there. Really, the bulk of the conversation today is going to be about our product, Q.HOME Core, and how it can help you with your business. And really the properties of Q.HOME Core, some of the technical specifications. So slide. So to give you that overview, we are the market leader in residential and commercial solar. And it's because of our commitment to quality and reliability. And what does that realistically look like? It looks like having the toughest quality assurance standards and testing standards in the solar industry, a step above the rest. It looks like American manufacturing. We're, of course, investing in having a completely domestic supply chain for our PV modules here in the United States. So that speaks to the quality and the reliability, being backed by the Hanwha Group, a Fortune 500 company, and really using them as the 800-pound gorilla in the room to make big, impactful change on the market and on U.S. manufacturing. Slide. Introduction to the Hanwha Group. The Hanwha Group has about $186 billion in total assets. What does that mean to you? It means that we have the ability to make an impact. We have the ability to make an impact on the solar industry at a very high level. We are going to be doubling our capacity in solar manufacturing out of Georgia by the end of 2024, and we are here to stay. This is not a company that's going anywhere. We are committed to the United States and to having this domestic supply chain here in the United States, taking the raw polysilicon and making it into PV modules the whole way through. So that's what the Hanwha Group means to us. Fine. So getting on topic for today, what is net energy metering, or NEM? Net energy metering is a net billing tariff structure that compensates homeowners for selling excess energy to the grid. NEM 3.0 is, of course, the successor tariff to NEM 2.0. And NEM 3.0 has, of course, reduced credits to homeowners. It doesn't compensate homeowners very well for the energy that goes out into the grid. Therefore, people are incentivized to store their power and save their power and use it the way that they want to. In a way, that's just more logical, to use the power that you produce the way that you want to. Next slide. So summary, NEM 2.0, credits were given roughly the same as the retail rate at which they were bought. Energy was bought. Under NEM 3.0, their credits are given at a wholesale rate, and homeowners are really poorly compensated for the energy that they contribute to the grid. This leads to a longer payback time if you go solar only. Now, it is a significantly less payback time if you go solar with a battery. So let's talk about that. Next slide. All of this is happening under the backdrop of rising rates. It begs the question, why would homeowners want to buy electricity from these people in the first place? And if you have solar, why would you want to give your power to them? I remember selling solar in the home when the rates in San Diego Gas and Electric were around, the peak rates in San Diego Gas and Electric were around 30 cents a kilowatt hour. And that has just ballooned out of control. And as you can see from the chart, we do have the most expensive electricity in the state on an increasingly unreliable grid. Next slide. So again, why? Why go with an energy storage solution? You reduce the payback period for your energy system if you add a battery to it. You can insulate yourself from the risk of rising energy costs by having a bank, basically an energy bucket that you can store energy in, take energy out of. It just makes sense to have it that way. You could protect your home from blackouts. Texas, Michigan, and California have the most blackouts in the highest number of outages in the entire United States. And really, California, we saw from that last chart, we're paying the most. So again, it begs the question for the homeowner, why? Why would you continue to spend money here? Why don't you take power into your own hands? Why don't you take matters into your own hands and produce your own power? And of course, another reason for adding a battery is it does add value to your home. I have my Q.HOME core system up on my garage. It's a point of pride for me. I actually like walking past it. It feels like, from the homeowner perspective, it feels cool. I have the monitoring everything. I check all the monitoring app, and we'll get into that later. And that's fun, but there is some pride to having this system. It makes me smile. I see it more than my solar. My solar's up on the roof, of course. But I go by the battery almost every day. So it's a cool thing to have. So now we're going to get kind of into the technical aspects of this system. Cam, if you want to take it over.
Great. Yes, thank you. And thank you for the introduction, Jeff. I was just thinking your last sentence there, that when you're driving home and you hit the garage door button, it opens up I think the first thing you see is this Q.HOME core. What do you notice most about it when you see it?
I mean, I want to sound smart and say I know all the technical aspects of it and everything, like that. That's what I noticed. I noticed the fact that I don't have a utility bill anymore. It's completely gone now, which is great. But I really noticed the aesthetics. I like the design of it. I think it's, really like up close against the wall. I think the term is shallow depth. That matters, and it's pretty cool to actually show it to my neighbors and have them say, wow, that doesn't look like a giant. When you said you had a battery, I was expecting this huge thing, and it's kind of cool to have almost like it looks like a flat screen refrigerator, if that makes sense. It's pretty nice.
Great, great. Thank you for that. And again, that's so important, right? So when you're driving home, you want this thing to look good, and I'm glad that you like it. So great that it's working out for you nicely. So, when we started developing this product, the Q.HOME Core, we had some key objectives, right? And we wanted to make sure it's a solid design with a lot of flexibility, make sure this is safe, safe to install, safe to operate. Wanted to make sure that it performs well. It does everything that the homeowner would need to do, for the different operating modes and so on. And so that's how kind of we arrived at this particular platform, which again we call Q.HOME Core, and it's built using components in a modular approach. And this kind of summarizes, what we're trying to accomplish with the development team, the sales and marketing team, providing all the input, along with listening to folks like yourself, the installers, our channel partners. We were looking for a complete system. A complete system meaning all the components are coming from one partner. That means the modules, the rapid shutdown device, or if you want to use optimizers, whether they're RSDs or optimizers, the MLP comes from, as part of the solution. Then we have the inverter, the battery, and then, of course, the thing that brings it all together, the backup interface or the hub. And so that entire ecosystem is from Qcells. It means you have one partner, you have one warranty, and one phone call, right? So we're here to support that, the power of one, right? One complete solution. We wanted to have a lot of flexibility. That means, basically we got like a 3.8 kilowatt inverter, 7.6 kilowatt inverter. We can go from, to 200% oversizing on the DC. You can have a small battery, like 10 kilowatt hours. You can take it up to 20 kilowatt hours or put 4 of them together to get to 80 kilowatt hours. You can have different configurations. You just want to do PV only, or you want to add a battery and do grid support, or you wanted to do complete backup, right? So we offer all those configurations. It can be mounted indoors or outdoors. It could be on the floor mounting or wall mounting. So those are the different kinds of design flexibility. Using just 3 components, you can do pretty much everything. Something you guys are going to love is the simple installation process. This is a modular system. It plugs in like Lego blocks. We minimize the wiring, so you don't have a lot of conduit and wire crimping and terminations. These things all plug into each other. The commissioning is really simple, very straightforward. We made it, for example, lightweight. So you're not lifting up a 400-pound battery. So this modular approach, when we say simple installation and commissioning, it means many different things. Eliminate the wiring where you can, make it lightweight, make it user-friendly, have the terminations already there. And then what Jeff was just talking about is, we think is pretty. It looks good. It's compact. It's very appealing. It'll make you smile when you get to the garage. The key thing about it is it takes very little floor space. So it's less than 6 inches deep, 5.8 inches, right? And with the width, that takes very little floor space for a 20 kilowatt hour battery. And then with 4 of them or 2 of them, you're doubling or tripling the very little floor space. And we know you got to put a lot of other things in the garage too, right? The last thing you want is the battery system taking up a big space there. Safety, you know, safety in terms of operating it, designing with it, installing it, all of those factors. You know, for example, rapid shutdown is built in, the transmitters in the inverter. You know, reliability was important to us, so it's been proven out in a very robust environment. The battery is LFP chemistry. So, you know, a lot of those safety factors, you know, having gone through certifications, you know, most important of all, we would like you to have an awesome experience. And that's everything from design support to applications to training, showing up on site, helping you to install and commission. You know, we're doing a system next week here, and we'll have our application engineers go out there, work with the installer, answer all the questions, and make sure they just have a tremendous experience. And that all comes from Qcells. Slide, please, Sarah. And so when you look at the components, this shows it all. You know, we just talked about it, but these are the building blocks, the module. Here's the MLPE for rapid shutdown, the inverter, the battery we call Q-Save, and the inverter, as we call it, Q-Volt. And then the hub is over on the right that brings it all together. So this is the complete ecosystem. Next slide, please. So if we look at the key specifications, and you know, we have all data sheets, installation manuals, application notes, design guides, all of that stuff Jeff will touch back on and show you how to access that stuff. But the building blocks, you know, this is a hybrid inverter, so it could be used for a complete new system where you're tying in PV modules, you know, with a battery, an inverter system for a new site, or you could use the inverter and battery to add to an existing site where there's already modules on the roof. So somebody already has PV rooftop set up, whether it's a string inverter or whether they're micro inverters, we will parallel to that existing system. We call it AC coupling, that I'm sure is a term you've heard. So it's a hybrid inverter with a lot of flexibility, small systems, large systems. You can parallel up to 4 of these batteries. The tower there, the inverter's on top, and the battery modules are on bottom. So basically, you could parallel up to 4 of these systems. We talked earlier about the battery chemistry, LFP, lithium iron phosphate. And then again, very sleek form factor, a mobile app, no screen. Just walk up to it, hook up your phone or smart device, talk to it, do the settings and so on. And, you know, the hub has everything you need for backup, auto transformer, a revenue grade meter, and communications. Next slide, please. And, you know, the little video on the bottom right here shows you this modular, you know, structure. I mean, I remember playing with these Lego blocks back in the day, right? So you could build anything. And that's really what this lets you do, is build a small system, a large system, and you can put it together pretty quickly. We like to say, you know, you can install and commission generally the same day. But, you know, the installation could be a couple hours, and that includes everything else that you're doing, right? Bringing in the DC and the AC, and then, you know, commissioning is typically taken about 20 minutes with a smart device. And again, that video shows you the modularity of this, you know, so that results in something that's lightweight. Each of these battery modules is under 100 pounds. So you could lift this up and put it up and then plug in, you know, 2, 3, or 4 modules. We need a minimum of 2 battery modules, and that's a 10 kilowatt hour. Or you could put in 4 battery modules to get to 20 kilowatt hours. And these are plug and play, so there's no wiring between the battery modules. You know, there's connector in there that basically is a floating connector designed for, you know, rack-mounted modular systems. And that's what this incorporates. Is it's foolproof. You know, so you just plug the battery modules onto each other and you put a little clip there, as the video showed, to attach it. And then the inverter sits up on top. There's a bracket in the back that supports the weight against the wall. So it's gone through structural engineering review and so forth. Slide, please. So again, to summarize this, you've got a one phone number, one brand, one warranty. And by the way, we also provide financing. So talk about what is Qcells doing, right? Our ambition is to be a complete energy solution provider. You know us well for modules, but here is our platform for providing a complete residential energy storage system, every component plus the financing. And so there's some incentives for packaging all of that for you. So definitely reach out to our sales team for that. But we talked a little bit about AC or DC coupled, scalable from small to large. You can put it pretty much anywhere. Cool looking product, safety, and most important, customer support. We're going to be with you all the way. Next slide, please. And so when we look at the inverter, this is, again, we've kind of touched on most of these terms. It's a NEMA 4X enclosure, allowing it to be sitting outside. It's got this 7.6 kilowatt, has 3 MPPTs, 2 MPPTs on the smaller one, the 3.8 kilowatt, and a lot of protection built in. Couple of LEDs on the side so you could look at it. The way they flash, give you indication of its health, kind of like a heartbeat, if you will. And then from a safety standpoint, all the certifications are done, a complete list, but we highlight a couple of them. UL 1741, PCS certification, and certifications for different parts of the country, if it's California or Hawaii or elsewhere. And next slide, please. The bottom part of that tower is the battery. And you could just see this faint lines in there. There's a little base on the bottom that has leveling feet. So as you know, the garage may not be flat. And that leveling feet allows you to accommodate for the slope. And then on top of that is the larger battery module. As I said, this one shows 4 battery modules. A picture of the modules there on the left. It's got 2 handles. You just lift it up, put it in place, and then do it again a couple times. And these are interlocking. So there's guides, mechanical guides that align it up, and then there's a connector guide. And this is really what makes it simple to install. We talked a little bit about, the safety. The battery, it has 9540 UL certification, but the system has also gone through the testing methodology for 9540A, which I'm sure most of you guys know. That's a test protocol for evaluating against thermal runaway. They're doing a safety test. They try to damage the battery and see if it catches fire or damages itself. And this has passed all of those tests with flying colors. We're happy to report. So that's an extra safety mechanism there for you. Each battery module is 5 kilowatt hours. So with 2 of them, you get to 10, or with 4, you get to 20 kilowatt hours. And as we said, you can parallel 4 of these to get to 80 kilowatt hours. Slide, please. I think in terms of applications, this first diagram is just showing you, the inverter, battery, and the hub, the picture, and then the electrical diagram is showing the modules, in this case, rapid shutdown, and then, of course, the panel. And depending on how you configure this, you can do different things. If we go to the next slide, we'll see what we call 2 different applications for the same system, right? So when DC coupling, you've got modules included in the system coming to the inverter, battery, and hub. If it's AC coupling, what's shown in the diagram on the bottom is microinverters on the roof and PV only. So then we're tying in the inverter, the battery, and the hub for a retrofit application. And it's the same inverter. Yes, Jeff.
So I'd imagine, just looking at this, the DC coupled, if you want to go with a DC coupled solution, it'd be a little bit less expensive per se, and instead of going with the AC coupled solution, because you wouldn't have to spend money on somebody else's inverter. Does that check out? Does that seem to make sense?
It's a great question. Again, the when we say AC coupled, remember that inverter might already be at the home. Somebody may have micro inverters on the
Okay.
roof. It might be a string inverter with optimizers on the roof, and that's perfectly fine. In that case, they may not be adding another PV system, but they can add a battery, and that's what the AC coupled is for.
Right. So I see this fitting somebody's business. They could potentially offer the DC coupled solution to people who don't have solar on the roof already.
Yeah,
But if,
yeah.
say, they have Enphase or Solar Edge, like I have Enphase on my roof with Qcells modules, they would be able to AC couple the system. And for many installers, their best customer is the one that already said yes. It's the people who are their existing customers, and they can go back and put our solution onto their roof.
Exactly. And again, talk about the power of one, right? One solution, one system, one set of components that let you serve two markets, right? And so that is what this is all about. But great question. Thank you. Next slide, please. And you could do, whole home backup or partial home backup. And this is about sizing the battery, the number of batteries, and where you mount the hub, or if it's a backup panel. And our application engineers, and we have essentially 8 of them throughout the country, would be involved with helping you to design, review single line diagrams, and help you design and size the system for your needs. Slide, please. And, we touched on NEM 3.0, which is what we're all trying to address here in California, right? So a traditional system that is a complete backup system with inverters, batteries, and a hub, it increases the cost. And with NEM 3.0, as you know, we're trying to optimize the cost so that you can participate in the income stream that comes from exporting energy, storing energy, exporting energy, and essentially do that in an optimized way. So this system has 3 configurations. We've added a SKU which is just for solar. If somebody wanted to have just an inverter, and that left column shows solar and the picture of the inverter on the top, and it comes with a CT meter kit. So that's what the Q.HOME solar kit is. It's basically the inverter with a CT/meter that gets wired up. That's a PV only application. And then to address NEM 3.0, we have a configuration called grid support, which is where you're adding a battery now. You could do 10 kilowatt hour battery or up to 20 kilowatt hour, depending on your application. But again, you got the inverter battery and a CT kit, meter kit as well. And this is the focus for NEM 3.0 support. And if you want to still do NEM 3.0 support and have backup, that's on the right-hand side. The column there adds the hub, the little square on the right-hand side. So now you got a complete system, and that allows you to do full backup. Next slide, please. And we'll look at a couple of these different configurations. This is quite straightforward. Again, our application engineers can provide a lot of these illustrations to you and review your specific design. When you identify a home or a site, that's a great opportunity to reach out to Qcells. We'll get our application engineers involved to do this kind of diagram for you and work with you. But this is showing the inverter only with the CT meter in the middle off to the right. And the next slide will show us a bill of material for this to help you to identify what you're ordering. And documentation, again, we'll come to documentation in a minute, but we have a specific technical design application guide for this configuration. Next slide, we are showing the grid support configuration. And this is where we've added a battery. We still have the CT meter. And then this follows with a bill of material on the next slide. Again, supporting you, showing you how these different configurations work. And now here we have design guides specific to this. And usually this is 10, 15-page documentation talking about single line diagrams, bills of materials, considerations, do's and don'ts. We want you to be successful, and we'll make sure you are. And that's what this collateral is all about, is to help you get it right, with Qcells. Next slide, please, which will be the illustration of a complete backup system. what we started off with, right? A complete Qcells system, modules, MLPE, inverters, batteries, hubs, and again, a bill of material on the next slide here. Anything we can do better, please reach out to us. Let us know. We're in the mindset of this continuous improvement, whether it's a typo on a document or, whether it's something else you think we should provide to you. We're happy to work on that stuff. We have a pretty capable product team here that has a lot of design background and application background, and would love to engage with the installers, our partners, to do better every time. Next slide, please. Jeff, at this point, I'll pass it back over to you.
I have to come off mute for that. Thanks, Cam. So Cam went through a couple of the application-specific guides. You could see most of our technical documents listed here on the side. We have technical documents for before, during, and after the installation. In the next slide, we'll actually give you a QR code to our technical document library, so you'll be able to have access to all of this. You could also find our technical document library on our website, so you can go there and find everything that you would need to install a system. In terms of support, and that includes, like Cam was saying, design support. That's kind of like just a great service to just augment your own professional engineering services or whatever you have. We offer our own design support that can help you with your first system, your second system, your 10th system, whatever it is. Please use our field application engineers. They're here to help. They could be reached at pti-ess@qcells.com. Again, that's pti-ess@qcells.com. We do have dedicated customer support for our batteries. The number is 888-249-7750. 888-249-7750 for dedicated customer support. Everybody who installs one of our batteries, in order to commission a battery, we want them to take our certification course. And really what that is rooted in is we want to ensure a positive customer experience at the end. So we want to make sure that everybody goes through our certification course. It is not a rigorous certification course by any stretch of the imaginations. This is not an 8-hour or 6-hour certification course. This won't take you a week. You could probably finish the certification course this afternoon. We just want to make sure that everybody takes it and learns a little bit more about our system before they install it. Once you have taken the course, which can be found at qcellspartner.us, you can take the certification test. Once you've taken the test, you'll get your completion certificate, a picture of which is shown here at the bottom. And once you have that certificate of completion, you can send that again to pti-ess@qcells.com. So if you want to learn more about this, really the best place to learn more about it is at qcellspartner.us. We are in the process of revamping that website. So if you are getting stopped by a wall that says you have to upload a W-9 or a tax ID code, you could put in a hash, whatever numbers you want in terms of the tax ID, and upload a blank document for the W-9. We stopped requiring that to get access to Qcells Partner, and will allow you through to the website after you just sign up for it. So you'll be able to see the training course on the qcellspartner.us website. Next slide. The magic of QR codes. I love these. Scan the top QR code for a technical doc, or to just take you to our technical documents library. There you're going to find our resource guide, again, our customer service number, our customer service support, and all of the technical documents you would need to install one of these systems. And the QR code on the bottom is very neat. That is the QR code for Built 3D instructions. If you haven't heard about Built, they're a fantastic company. They're used by Siemens, Tesla, a whole bunch of home improvement companies. I think our head of engineering actually used the Built app to install his garage door opener. So there's a whole bunch there in that app. If you scan that code, it will automatically download 3D interactive instructions onto your phone so that you open it up and it's there. It is a great resource. Take a picture and share it with installers. It is a great resource to have for anybody who's on site who wants to be refamiliarized with the basic instructions. It's an excellent tool to have. Next slide. And of course, we have monitoring, which I really like. I do check this, and I do think it's a cool sort of interactive site to look at what the system is doing. Set the parameters for the system. I put it into time of use optimization, and put it for the hours of 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. So that it will discharge during that time. So put it into the self-use mode for that time. But you can see what the system is doing. It's a great it's a cool thing to show at a party. Hey, look at what my system is doing, and that is a referral tool for many customers and homeowners if you have a referral program. Next slide. We also have an easy way to set up the monitoring portal. A lot of people, I find, don't get set up with monitoring because the installer might forget about it at one point. They might it might be a little bit onerous at the end of a long day to set up somebody's monitoring. This is very easy. You download our app, you log into our app, you select the plus button to add a new account, and then you scan the serial number barcode on the side of the Wi-Fi dongle on your Q.HOME core system. That's it. It is very fast to set up monitoring, and that's really the user experience for the homeowner. So really, that's how I interact with my system, aside from looking at it and smiling and being happy about it. So yeah, definitely easy to set up there. Next slide. That about wraps it up for us. We do have the pti-ess@qcells.com email address here. We do encourage you to reach out to our ESS team. And I think we have a couple of questions here in the chat. So the first question is warranty and expected lifetime for your system. Cam, you want to take that?
Sure, that's a great question, and thank you for the question. Our standard warranty, is 10 years, and we say that typically we put a number of cycles out there that's kind of like an industry norm. It's 6,000 cycles and a 10-year warranty. Yeah, and that's kind of the standard. We have a couple of options where, for example, if you do financing with us through our NFIN financing program, then we can extend that warranty. Certainly, for example, for the modules, we can extend it, right? So, and then the similar type of incentive programs we have for the inverter battery system. And then in terms of lifetime, the system has been designed for, operating for 25 years plus. Obviously the modules are, and you need the power conversion solution that's going to support that. And so we have, obviously some extended warranty programs that could be offered, or, if something typically in the industry during that 25-year lifespan, the inverter is typically being replaced at least once. And, so that's kind of part of an O&M program for a 25-year plan. But definitely is something that we can expand on more with our application support for that. Jeff?
Excellent. Good stuff. So we had another question. Please give an example of what one battery can do, hours, and what it could charge. Uh, just jumping right into this, I have a whole home backup with a 20 kilowatt hour system. And, albeit I don't really have HVAC, I have mini splits. But that's, an example. It's a 1,300 square foot house. So that's something that gives it a rough idea. I know that isn't the kind of exact idea, but Cam, could you kind of supplement that answer with what a battery could do potentially?
Well, I mean, it's a great question, and the answer is not so simple, but this is where our application engineers can help you with doing some load calculations and helping to size the battery. And and depending on what kind of loads that you decide to do, if you're doing a partial home backup, let's say you take the air conditioner off, you take a couple other loads off and you decide what's important to you, then you can actually have the battery for a longer period of time, right? So it's about load management essentially. And so depending on, when we say 20 kilowatts, 20 kilowatt hour, that's 20 kilowatts for an hour. So if you're pulling 5 kilowatts, you'd get 4 hours. So that's just a very approximate rule of thumb, if you will. It's about it's about sizing the battery for your load and then managing the load and the needs, right? So, and that if somebody wants to back up everything, you're going to get less duration unless you put more kilowatt hours, more batteries. And that's why we've designed, the system to be scalable from 10 kilowatt hours all the way to 80 kilowatt hours, right? So there's a lot of flexibility and in this approach, and I could basically leave it at that. But for your specific design application, our application engineer can help you review that sizing and how to optimize that, because it's a function of cost. How much do you want to spend? So all of those parameters come into play. And a lot of applications here are now, where we thought people are going to put large batteries in because it's backup, but you're looking at also the cost, the investment, the ROI. And so now if you're just focused on grid support, then you're less focused on storage, and maybe you go with a smaller battery. So all of those decision factors, we can work with you, understand what you're trying to accomplish, and then guide you.
Excellent. Another question pops up. What is the daily average output per battery?
So the battery, let's say that the inverter in this case is 7.6 kilowatts, right? There's two parts of the question. One is actually the capacity, which is the kilowatt hours, and one is actually the power, right? The how many kilowatts you can pull out. So in order to optimize the 7.6 kilowatt power capacity of the inverter, you need at least 15 kilowatt hours. So you need basically 3 modules. So to answer that question, with a configuration of 7.6 kilowatt with 15 kilowatt hours, you can pull the full 7.6 kilowatts out. If you had a smaller inverter, 3.8 kilowatt inverter, now you can pull it out for a longer time. So again, this is a lot of flexibility in this, but you could pull, if you had 2 inverters, for example, let's say you build a system with 2 of these towers. Now you've got 15 kilowatt inverter capacity, 7.6 times 2, right? You get 15 kilowatt inverter system with up to 40 kilowatt hour capacity. So it's an interesting design approach, because now you have flexibility in sizing your power needs, the inverter kilowatt rating, whether it's a single inverter, small, large, or multiple inverters, and whether you want to optimize the storage capacity, which is keep the inverter low, but add a lot of battery capacity. So you could be low on, the kilowatt rating and go large on the kilowatt hour rating. So again, the answer is that it's got a lot of flexibility, and you can go anywhere from, let's say, 15, 30, 30 kilowatts all the way to 80 kilowatt hour. And then how you manage that is what we work with you on, helping you to optimize.
And of course, if you parallel stacked, say, two 7.6 kilowatt inverters next to each other, you get, what is it, like 15 point,
Yeah, two.
gosh, like 2.
15.2.
Yeah, so and it allows for a 200% oversizing. All right, so you could have a huge PV system, up to a huge PV system, with a good, powerful backup battery there. Survive hurricanes, which are apparently a thing in California now.
Yeah.
Uh,
So
yeah.
Jeff, you just touched on an important point. Now, we talked a little bit about sizing the inverter capacity, right? From 3.8, 7.6 to 30, and
Mm.
then the battery capacity from 10 to 20 to 80. But the important point, you can also size and optimize the DC capacity, with the 200% oversizing. So you've got, these different parameters, the DC on the roof, the AC inverter, the DC kilowatt hour storage, all of these things can be tweaked, and it's up to you. You could design and build the system that you need.
Excellent. Best thing to do is to contact PTI-ESS at Qcells.com and get some support. We're there to help. We had another question. What's the average commissioning time?
Well, that's a great question. You had something installed in your garage recently. Were you there? How long did it take?
I mean, yeah, it took about, like, I want to say, like, around 15 minutes, somewhere around there. I mean, like, it was, hey, we're commissioning the battery, go back inside to get a snack, come back outside, and there it is. It's like your battery's commissioned. All right. Great local San Diego installer. Really, really proud of the job that they did. I mean, it looks clean. It's a good looking install.
Yeah, thank you for that. So what we've been saying is we're being conservative, right? So we say, hey, it takes 20 to 30 minutes to commission the system. And, again, it could be less, depending on, how it's mounted, where it's mounted, those are variables. But when it comes to the inverter, the battery, the hub, that can be commissioned in 30 minutes or less.
Hmm.
You warm up a cup of coffee, come back, and before you know it's done. But sure.
Good stuff. Well, please, if anybody has any more questions, I don't see any more coming through the chat. Here we go. Hey, we've got a cheeky question. This is fun. Why does your battery look exactly the same as Panasonic?
I'll take this one. So, hey, this is a great question, and we appreciate you guys asking this question. In any, Qcells is, the strength of Qcells in terms of, and our competitors, whether it's Panasonic or anyone else, right? There's a lot of tremendous bandwidth that companies have, and they have a product strategy. Often it's a product portfolio roadmap strategy, and we have that. And as part of that strategy, you see in every industry ODM partnerships, outsourced design and manufacturing partnerships, and it's leveraging time to market solutions. And so we have a manufacturing partner that we work with, where we embed some components of our technology and our requirements, whether it's firmware or software or some hardware. We incorporate those with a manufacturing partner, a partner that has extensive experience and skill in designing, building, and manufacturing. So we take that approach, and it appears, though, that Panasonic's taken a similar approach. So, I mean, this is quite normal, but what you're seeing here is a Qcells system. It's kind of like building a car and getting the engine and transmission from a partner, and then you incorporate all the smarts, the electronics, the user interface, and so on. So we have, in this particular platform, that's the approach we've taken. It's working really well. And so you'll see, other similar systems, like if you take a look at some of the new systems coming into the market from other manufacturers, they have something that looks very similar to this. it's not as wide, maybe it's narrower, maybe only 3 modules or 6 modules, but this is kind of the way most competitors are moving into this modular approach. So again, it's a Qcells product with Qcells incorporated software and some hardware changes, but we're leveraging an existing platform that we can bring to the market quickly. And what that does is minimizes your risk of taking on a solution that might not be so well proven. So this platform from Qcells, we have a lab here in Santa Clara where I am, and we do a lot of reliability testing. We have, a couple hundred people invested in this qualification testing, certification, and so on. And so this is a complete Qcells system. Hopefully that adds a little color to your question, but thank you for asking.
Not uncommon to see that in manufacturing or the industry for that matter. But on to the next question. If optimizers are used, can you see the panel level monitoring on the Qcell app?
That's a good question as well. So for this particular platform, there's a different app that we would use for viewing the MLPE data. What you would see on our app is essentially the combined aggregate power production, string level data. And if you wanted to get into diagnostics, then you would have a different tool that you'd open up that will show the MLPE data.
Good questions. Good stuff.
Yeah, and I might say that, these are great questions. We'd like you to reach us directly at the email that Jeff shared and the phone number. If you guys feel like there's more questions that you have, you'd like to go into more detail on those, we're happy to have that discussion and conversation with you and demonstrate how this is a great choice for your residential system, whether it's PV only or whether it's grid support or whether it's complete backup. The Qcells is, as we said earlier, very dramatically committed to the North American market in terms of not just modules, not just this particular solution, but many other solutions. The financing is another example, and then a complete development roadmap. We're committed, and so we'd love to be able to answer any question you have. And it looks like we have another question.
So yeah, no, who really makes your product? I think you got to that. We have a manufacturing partner that we work with, right?
Right. So we have multiple manufacturing partner strategy, and feel free to please reach out to us and reach out to me. My name's Cam Sehota. Reach out to me or reach out to this email, and we'd love to discuss with you some more details.
Excellent. So if there are no more questions, I'd like to thank you guys for your time. Thank you for spending time with us. Thank you for talking with us. Thank you for the engaging feedback. And we really do hope that you engage with us some more. Again, that email for more technical questions or for assistance installing your first system is pti-ess@qcells.com. Please take us up on our offer. Please allow us to work with you. We have some great FAEs on staff who would love to work with you. All right.
Great. Thank you very much for your questions, and appreciate the great questions.
Excellent. All right, Cam. Thanks, Med.
Thank you.